my money plan for surely I'm participating. I know they hating, but I still give them motivation. That's real shit. It's easy being a real nigga. Pay my dues on my mama, I'ma die a real nigga. And I came from the bottom, then rose like Derek. Rest in peace to Pie, swear I feel his spirit. Still out here grinding, still out here shining. Like the original Lil Wayne, bro, we still out here squatting, yeah. Macking and mobbing, I'm stacking my dice.
So, I know you have a YouTube channel and you also have a radio talk radio station. If you want to go ahead and tell us what those are real quick, because I want to make sure that those shout outs get out there.
Yeah, you can definitely find me on crunk868.com. That's crunk868.com. We air every Thursday at 2 p.m. on my show. It's Coffee Time with Professor Coffee. And you can find us on EDI Educate Don't Incarcerate on YouTube. That's EDI Educate Don't Incarcerate on YouTube.
You guys make sure you guys tune in. If you're part of the kennel, man, the brother is just starting out. Let's go ahead and get his subs up to 1,000 fast. You know what I mean? We're trying to get this knowledge out there. There's a slogan that you have. I don't want to say it wrong. So what are we?
We are those who are closest to the problem are also those who are closest to the solution, but the furthest, the resources. Right. And I think when you have me say that, particularly in relationships, and this is one of the main reasons I'm so fond of you and the work that you're doing.
Yes, sir.
We began to think of what's happening from a national perspective. We usually look at these issues in silos, and particularly in our particular region or country, and not our state, and not understanding the overall impact of the shared interests and shared experiences that we have. And it's important to me that as we do this work, that it's critical that our resource no longer depends on relying on someone on the outside of us to feed us. It's about that time that we learn to feed one another. And these type of relationships are when we talk about how do we empower, how do we encourage the Black community and support one another. People say, that can't be done because ... what the fuck they say. This is how it's done. Yes. This is how it's
reaching out.
This is how you know that we can produce, excel, and succeed without the influence of outside influences that really try to that attempt sometimes to determine the narratives or the conversations that you and I have, or that what we discuss. It's like going into the bar, when the slaves just go back into the woods to chop it up and talk. Today we say we're talking in the barbershop, that barbershop talk. Right now we get to have barbershop talk like this. So it's important because a lot of things that we want to say sometimes is minimized, and sometimes watered down, sometimes want to, when I just drank in my heydays, we used to take it to the head. We motherfucking straight. Sometimes
we don't want to cut. Don't put no cut on it.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing that you've created for the viewers, you guys look for this, is called the credible messengers. You know what I mean? Because without credibility, your message is trash. You know what I mean? So that's why I totally respect your whole movement. But let's get into it, because I need them to understand that I'm not doing this interview here. I don't want to hear a war story about prison. Not from you, because I want them to hear more about what you did after you came home from prison. That's what's more important for this interview. I don't need a war story. I just want you to tell us what you did from the last day you spent it incarcerated till now. I don't need to know everything, but because they need to hear it.
I think that in 2009, after I got off my last charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in Miami, the charges was dropped. But it was right there in that space where I began to think about a lot of things that my mama had said to me throughout my life. It was there that I began to see my life on the line, because it was there that I was initially, because I had already went in and out the prison system 6 times. So I had already spent over 19 years. I was what we consider a habitual offender. And at that point in time, it was like, okay, nigga, we're going to do your mama a favor. We're going to do everybody a favor. So they came to me with the 20 years for the habitual offender status and the 10 years for the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And that was the day I remember going to my cell, and I remember feeling sick, and most of our viewers who know where I'm coming from, it's like when you come from that first appearance and they say that them crazy ass numbers, niggas don't want to talk. We don't want to do none of that shit. Niggas just want to lay down, try to dream, and act like this shit was a bad dream, and this shit, I'm gonna wake up. It was just it was all a dream.
Man, they told me 68 to life. I didn't know what to say.
Exactly that. And 2 weeks later, they called me and told me that the charges was dropped. And when they told me that, you know, only thing I could reflect on the day they told me to pack my shit was it just came to me everything I had said in that cell when I, you know, thinking about my mom and it changed my life. And really, it was still like a lot of things. So I got a call from some friends who asked me if I wanted to come to New York to a program. They'll help me change my life. And I said yes, but I didn't say yes about change my life, even though I wanted to change. I just didn't think I could change. I came because I said, if this shit is going to help me not go back to the penitentiary, that was the only, it was a reactionary response to fear of ever going back to the penitentiary, because like I share with people, I didn't want to go out in a blaze of glory. I wanted to go out knowing who my sons was. I wanted to go out with my grandchildren. I wanted to gather around I wanted to go out like that. And one of the things I realized that at that point is that I really didn't want to die, because I had one last incident before that that really brought that reality to my mind, and it brought the reality of everything that I had lived throughout my life. So when I got here to New York, I got involved in this transitional program that helps formerly incarcerated men to get back on their feet in life and to restart their life. Right. And during my time there, I took a placement test. Initially was the TABE test, and then they gave me a college placement test because one of the counselors there looked at my scores and said, you know, you may have a bright academic career. When he said that to me, I didn't really know. The only thing I can tell you I remember is when my foster mom used to always tell me, Terrence, you're so smart. You can be that. And, you know, you got to understand, I came up in foster care. So when she was saying all that to me, I just thought she was like, you ever seen her like a fucking baby and the little baby ugly as fuck? You like, damn, that's a little ugly little child.
But everybody talking about it's cute.
But if you ask the mama, if you ask the mama about that baby, the thing that she said, oh my God, my beautiful child. So I kind of felt that my foster mom, who passed, you know, about 3 years ago, I thought she was just telling me shit. Because what else she was going to tell me? Your mama dead, nigga, your life over. So it was that approach. So when he said that to me, I said yes, because, again, everything I was doing initially was just simply the fact of doing something.
I want to go to prison.
That was it. It was no, I'm going to succeed in life, or I'm going to have the life of Will Smith and, you know, and pursuit of happiness and everything. Was none of that shit. I was just trying not to go back to the penitentiary. That was it. And when I took the placement test, I scored one of the highest scores that they had ever had at that program for academics. And it was there that they put me in contact with the organization, College Initiative, that helps formerly incarcerated men to get in academic settings. And again, I got to be very honest with I was just doing all this like to stay out the penitentiary. Let me make that. Right. Even when I met with the counselors and they told me, you know, they said, oh my God, you're great. Because in my mind, one of the things I share with my students in a book that I read a lot called Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said the worst thing that we could do as a people is to believe what a white man calls a nigger. In other words, it's one thing for a motherfucker to tell a lie, but the most damaging thing about a lie is the person who accepts that lie to be the truth. Because I no longer have to tell you ain't shit. You're going to tell yourself that you ain't shit. And I live that. My whole life. So I never sought nothing because I wasn't shit anyway, because society already told me I was a young black male. Nigga, you're going to be dead by 21. You ain't shit. You can't.
And like I talked to you before, that's one of the main things that I'm doing with my channel is we have to change the psychosis. We have to change what we believe. You know what I mean? Like you said, because you don't have to call me a nigger with the ER on the end of it for me to believe it if you've already convinced me through generational hypnosis that that's what I am. If I believe personally that I'm less than, nobody has to try to convince me I'm less than if I believe it already. You know what I mean?
Go ahead. You're absolutely right. And I love when you said that last week when we talked.
Yeah, and once again, which is another reason why I said I wanted to interview with you so badly, because my viewers need to hear your mindset as well as mine, because I'm not the only one that thinks like this. I'm not the only one that thinks that we all, like I said to you on your channel, on your podcast, that we all have innate greatness. We just have to believe in ourselves.
Exactly.
Great. Stop believing that that's all you can do. Stop believing that you have to do that. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Just believe in yourself.
And that's where I think it's voice and hit the souls of black folks said one interesting thing. He said for the 1%, the 10%, when he talked about the talented 10, he said that 10% of us that make it out, it's our responsibility to help that 90%. And that really is a broad statement when we think about how relevant that is today, because it changes over time. Because right now we have 2.2 million people who are impacted by the criminal justice system right here in this country, 6.5 million who are out on the streets right now without the right to vote. And we can go down the list of those 4.5 million children. We can go down. We're talking about generational. We're talking about that when we talk about 2.2 million people, you have to add on the 4.5 million children. You have to add on the 6.5 million people who are already out. You have to keep adding some shit on there to understand the totality of what that number really means and represents. Because, like you said, what we're looking at is what I like to call generational poverty. And poverty isn't just the aspect of financial things that Papa was a Rolling Stone type shit. Poverty is a mindset. Poverty is sometimes a mindset that has been handed down from a society to the mama, to the great-grandmama, to the great-mama. That we ain't going to be shit. You ain't never going to be shit. You're going to be like your daddy. You ain't going to be shit. So in these spaces that we have as the voices of credible messengers, it's very critical, important that we begin to rewrite the fucking narrative. I tell a lot of people I fucked with today, I don't wait for a motherfucker to tell me about me anymore. Right. I just don't do that, because if I wait on society to tell me what the fuck they want, they're gonna tell me the same narrative they've been telling us. So it's important that through mediums like this that we begin to rewrite that narrative. Because one thing I do know, that God and the universe blesses every person with potential. It's only a society that restricts the opportunities. And when it comes to that, then we have to fucking make our own opportunities. And the reason I can say that, and this is back to the dope game, motherfucker, we'll make something out of nothing.
Zero.
We make something. And really, if you want to go back from a deeper historical lens for your viewers, so we can take them on that level, we the motherfucker can wake up with nothing, come out at the end of the day, we like, but go back you can go back a bit further from historical lens. People don't really know where soul food came from. We eat it, we talk about it. Oh, mama, soul food was a people that took something, the leftovers, the shit nobody wanted, the guts of a pig, the plants nobody wanted, throwed all that shit out. And because of who we are as a people, we took that shit and made something out of it. Look at rap music. Rap music, we took some shit and just made a whole fucking, come on, man, industry. That's the potential that lies in us. That's the potential that I teach at one of the most prestigious universities in the world, in the country, in the world today, at New York University. And as you said, to get back, because I'll kind of fly off on some shit when I get in these.
It's all right.
To me, it's no longer about me, but through my academic career, in my professional, when I started this whole thing, I ended up going to a school, Bronx Community College, initially, and I graduated that school with as a Phi Theta Kappa, which is the top fraternity for academic achievement. I was named the 2014 to the 2014 Coca-Cola All Academic Team. I studied in Europe. I was selected as a global scholar where I studied in Salzburg, Austria. And by the time I got back to the States, I had been offered a scholarship to New York University through the CCTOP scholarship program for exceptional students. Again, I want to say this shit to you. All this was going on for about 2 years. My first time out, I was still like, some shit gonna happen.
I'm just trying to stay out of prison.
I'm still trying to just stay out of prison. Your viewers need to know this. All this shit was going and they're flying me all across these different places. I was named to the male leadership and this. I'm flying here, first time taking an airplane flight. All this shit is going on around me, and people are looking at me like, oh my God, he is so damn. That motherfucker didn't know. The only thing I was doing is like, motherfucker, don't go back to prison. That's all I saw. Initially, my first 3 years, that's all I was saw, trying to just make a way not to go back to the penitentiary. And I took the same skill set that I knew from the streets, and I just applied it to what I was doing academically. Every move is a calculated step for me. Every semester meant taking one package and flipping that bitch to another package. I went from the old to the quarter, from the we go down that list of things, and I'm using that as a metaphor to try to say that's the way I thought about it. So that same drive and potential is there. It's just how you aim at it, you look at it, and how you do the same thing, but in a different setting.
Right. Absolutely.
So I got to tell your viewers because, and this is where I understood the global perspective of Black America.
Right.
When I got to Europe, I landed in in Germany, and by the time I got to Austria, I'm getting off this linear jet with some other students from across the country. We're stepping off. I'm one of 3 other African Americans there. So I got these people in Germany with their cameras looking at us coming. They thought I was some type of celebrity or basketball player.
Right, clearly, because that's the only thing a Black man could have been doing.
Because they could not fathom that I was there on an academic scholarship as one of the leading minds on global studies and global poverty. That couldn't possibly be. I had to be all these other things, but I could not be academia. And that experience was one that really began to. That's where I think it began to change for me, where it went from me just simply looking at my life as something trying to stay out of the chain gang to now seeing how my life and my same experience could be instrumental in rewriting a narrative for something greater. And that's what started happening. So by the time I got to the States, man, that was over. Graduation came, Phi Theta Kappa, got all these goddamn awards, and New York University sent me the acceptance letter. And that's where I began my academic career, my undergraduate and graduate program at New York University, where I graduated in 2017, was named NSAW Student of the Year, 2016 President's Leadership Award recipient, Excellence in Leadership Award recipient, standing on stages at Radio City Music Hall. And I got to tell your viewers this, and the shit almost made me cry. We was talking about it earlier. When I was standing on that stage and they named me the NSAW Student of the Year, people almost saw me cry on stage because what they didn't understand when I was standing up there, all I could think about was all the shit they told me throughout my life. They didn't know that was the highest achievement that you can make you can achieve as a student. And I was standing up there as the Student of the Year, and I'm looking at all these thousands of people screaming and cheering, and the only thing I'm thinking about was the years in the foster home. I was thinking about the years that I got chased home. I remember the years people told me I wasn't gonna, just like real nigga shit, you ain't gonna be shit. I remember thinking to myself, I remember the years of being in the penitentiary. I remember the years of all the shit that I did, and I'm standing there in that moment, about to cry on the stage because I'm looking out because
right.
It's kind of hard to articulate, but it was that. From there, a year later, the institution called me back, and I now teach. I'm a professor at New York University, where I teach forensic justice and problem-solving course to graduate level students. I found it.
Yes, sir, man, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've dedicated my life and my time and everything that I do now to the enhancement of Black and brown people who are impacted by the criminal justice system and poverty. I speak at a lot of inner city schools, and it's important for me because a lot of times, I understand goodwill and all that good, but I'm beyond goodwill because when I go to Rikers Island, when I go to these schools, when I go to these communities, I speak, all I see in the pain of my heart and my eyes is really a lot of the challenges that I faced in my own life.
Right, and overcame. And overcame.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I see the despair in the young men's eyes when I go to Rikers Island at the EMTC building. I see it when I speak at these schools, these talented students who can't see the potential who they are because of society has told them through their social media lenses and mediums who they are as who they are, and that they might as well not look to be shit, and you better not think you're gonna achieve. So it's important for me that the work that I do, that my life no longer. I tell my students and I tell that motherfucker, I'll be dying doing. If I died right now on this goddamn live with you, I'll be standing in front of the wall, and that my children, them same two boys I told you, they can look at their father, because remember, generational poverty is the same thing that my daddy handed to me when I ended up in the foster home. So when my mama died, that nigga didn't even come to just bless her for her life. And that's what I began. I began to pass on the same thing to my children that he passed on to me. But like you said, it's through, and let me say this now before I go any further. It's truly through God's grace and the universe of our fathers and ancestors that guided me to this point. But it's something you said that I like. It's that choice and believing in ourselves differently. But with that, I also know that part of that comes in is when they say that, I think Hillary tried to say it, we are a village. It takes a village to raise a child. And that village is us, not...
Yes. No,
we are
else.
that village.
Yeah,
we are that
definitely.
Village. This is part of that village.
Yeah, we got to help each other. You know what I mean? Because it's too many have that crab in a bucket mentality where everybody's trying to pull the other one down. I don't want you to climb because I got to get up there. Nah, like I say, push that to the side. Like, come on, man. We gotta. If I have a medium that will help expand yours, oh man, come on, let's get it, man. Let my 4,000 subs see you, and hopefully they go over to your channel and sub to your channel so they can get this knowledge and get this belief that, look, we doing it. You know what I mean? Look at the wall behind you. It speaks volumes in itself. You know what I mean? And I salute you for that, sir. I really appreciate being able to see that. Even though we're kind of close to the same generation, only a couple years older than me, it still gives me hope for mine and myself just to see that wall and see you prosper in the way you have. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate that you are helping rewrite the narrative, man. And I'm all in, man. We are credible messengers, and we're going to continue to be credible messengers. And as far as that, it's really good, and I really look forward to doing more and more work with you. Because I'm not going nowhere. You stuck with me now. But do you want to anything else you want to get out there or shout out or say? You know what I mean? That you want to just this now is the good time for that.
Well, I think that the main thing that for this conversation and for your audience is to know that the potential to succeed lies in our communities. As challenging as this society tries to make it, we are the strength of one another. And that's critically important that we understand that. And I know people try to downplay what we can achieve collectively as a people. But like Martin has taught me, and I fully believe in, those who are closest to the problem are those who are also closest to the solutions. But we remain the furthest from the resources because we do not see each other as a resource.
Yes.
And this is how we will build. This is how it will be done. And to support one another through these means and these spaces that we have. And lastly, I want to say to your audience, for those individuals, again, please visit me at educatedon'tincarcerate.com, where you can learn more about the I Am a Credible Messengers movement. Because what that entails is taking the value of individuals like you, Nate Dogg, when my people got at me and they told me about you, that how you had transitioned from your journey to being who you are and the following that you, I was like, as soon as they said your name, I'm like, and they showed me, I said, yo, I got to get at this dude, because I'm like, I don't believe in the war stories. That I look at that shit like survive and whatever we had to survive.
Absolutely.
But value in that. And the value that's in it for me when I speak to young men like you, because I'm an old man now. I just get to look young with my gray. You represent a hope for me.
Yes,
sir. And I mean it from my heart, because I'm that cat who came up. You know, my sons them like to call me an OG and all this shit. And I understand, but it's young men like you and other young men like you that are going to carry this mantle and carries us into this new era of who we are, where we can still be ourselves and yet succeed in rewriting the narrative. So what's happening now is that what you're doing in California is really rewriting a narrative for young black men across this country in these penitentiaries across the country. And that is the audience, and those are the people, and those are the communities that I represent and that I believe in. So you are shining hope for me at my age now, to know that you got it before me, and I love you for that, young man.
Yes, sir. And Thank you. I appreciate that.
As an educator, as a professor, as all these things, I say that to you because when I look at you, you are my hope. That everything that's being done is not in vain, because you're going to touch that population.
Definitely not. Oh, we gonna pop. We gonna stay. We ain't going nowhere. We at this until it's over, man. And we gonna keep it going. We gonna keep it going to the point where it's not just me. It's an idea. You know what I mean? It's not about me. Everything I'm doing is not about me. It's more of a movement. It's more about believing that we can all. If I leave tomorrow, I want it to keep going. You know what I mean? And yeah, like you said, we gonna accomplish everything. We gonna accomplish changing the narrative, man. But we're gonna go ahead and close this one out. So to all my supporters, man, don't forget, educate, don't incarcerate, man. On YouTube, go check it out. Crunk868.com on just go www.crunk868.com every Thursday at 2:00. You can catch the brother. He got My Song coming up soon. It got pushed off. It got pushed off because of the coronavirus situation, but it's coming soon, so look for it. It's gonna be a fire interview. Do not miss it. You will miss some shit you nearly need to hear. Other than that, man, y'all know what it is. The Kennel. I stay coming with stuff that other people can't do because they don't know how. Stay loyal. Stay rocking with me, man.